Welcome back to the channel. This time we're looking at the BVS Batman. If you have this figure, congratulations. If you don't have it yet, don't worry, you'll eventually find it. I have already found it myself 3 or 4 times in the area where I live. Now, if you are now getting into customizing, this is a great figure to start with. It only needs a few colors of gray, maybe a little black wash here and there, and it needs, yes, some care on that belt. And if you've got the extra money, then you can spend it on that expensive muff head that is out there, and you can change out that sculpt. And if you are a little more daring, then you can make your own cape. This is what this video will show you. Or you can buy a cape, either way. However, this video will show you the big difference between a okay cape and a really good cape. We are reaching 9,000 subscribers, and I appreciate all of the returning help that you have given me. Thank you very much. But let's go on to the project itself. As mentioned before, this is a great figure to start customizing with. It's a very basic tone. If you want to paint it in ink or actual acrylics, then either way, it works out really well. Just remember to clean the figure first. And the step 1 is obviously to disassemble it, with either hot water or using a hairdryer. And all of it comes apart very, very easy. If you match the grays, then you don't have to paint those joints. And you can just go back in and add the shadowing with an airbrush or with, well, a black wash. And if you're a little more daring, then you can remove the head. And if you want to use that squishing trick by heating it up, it'll work, but keep in mind that because it is a plastic, eventually the temperature will change and that head will revert to its original form. That's just a tendency of these plastics. If you have a little bit more money to spend, then I recommend you get a resin sculpt off of eBay. If you have the money for that muff head, well, that's, fantastic. I certainly don't have it, but it looks so much nicer. You have the proportions correct. All you've got to do is paint it. If you have a ready painted sculpt, even better. You're a step ahead of me and a step ahead of many others. Now, in this step, you want to remove the cowl. Once you heat it up, it becomes very, very malleable, very soft. The inside is glued in with a square peg, and it is a real chore to remove it. You will never remove it by just adding heat. You're going to have to cut it or pry it off. And that's where you need to be a little bit more daring. Now, if you want to leave it on, that's fine. It's just going to be a really cumbersome issue to install a new cape. And as you've seen, the cape has a hole in it. In other words, at one point, this was not glued on. You now have to remove it. Now, this is the standard peg that it comes with. It is a little tall. You can shorten this peg by cutting it and drilling it and putting a small pin on the inside and gluing it back down, making it shorter if you don't have another way to go. But if you've got a replacement peg and it's shorter, then you're good to go. Replace it and that peg will sit much lower. Now, when you remove the trunks, they have this belt glued onto it. You'll have to heat it up several times. A section at a bit is what you're going to be working on with your flathead screwdriver. Be very careful because the trunks are thinner. They will tear if you're not careful. As you can tell, the belt is really thick. And once you've painted it, you can install it back on and glue it down, and it will look amazing. However, keep in mind, you gotta get back to this. You gotta clean that neck. There's a lot of glue residue left over. Now, I've removed it for the purpose of showing you this. You don't have to remove it if you don't want to. You can leave it glued at the front so the cape doesn't go all the way to the front end, and you can have that tighter look. Now, you will have to clean that square peg in the center if you want to re-glue it. Either you can glue it or you can put a long, thin screw that can hold the neck cowl and the shoulders together. If not, I'll show you a trick that I did. Now, going on to the cape. This is the original cape. It's thin material, it's smaller, and as you can tell, it's already stretching at the neck hole. I just really wasn't happy with it. But what's great about it is you can use it as a pattern. So don't throw it away, keep it. Keep it because you can use it over and over again to cut some patterns. If you want to cut out a pattern out of paper, that's fine. But you already have this. So use it at its full potential. And anyway, that's what I did. I used it as a pattern to cut other capes. Then the first one I cut was this without the scallops. The reason I cut it this way is because the original cape in the movie didn't have scallops. It was a straight cut at the bottom, jagged edge, and it had some weathering to it. Now this is a distressed pleather, and it looks so nice. So much more movie accurate than the other one that we received stock in the box. Now, what's interesting is, let me show you what it looks like, and I'll let you decide from this cape and the standard pleather. Remember, one is distressed pleather, the other is the standard pleather, and I'll have a tag at the bottom right showing you the difference and explaining it. I'll let you watch the video. So as I mentioned before, I ended up using that pattern to cut several more capes, because that's what I'm selling this month is Batman capes, BVS Batman capes. Now this is a thinner material, it is still a pleather, and just remember that the thinner the material, the thinner gauge wire you need. So this worked out really well because it made for a very light cape. Now, these scallops have the pleats ironed in. What's important is to sew them in. And in a minute, you'll see why you need to sew those in. At the end of this clip, I'll show you what it should look like. I will be installing a wire, well, several wires on this cape, but I first want you to see how I decided to attach the cowl back onto the shoulders. And what I ended up doing is this. I added a magnet. Why? Mezco did it. Other companies have done it. Why shouldn't I do it? Yeah, you have to keep in mind that you have to push that magnet a little lower and you have to carve it out. I ended up using a Gorilla Glue. Now, this is the reason why I did this, and it's only really for show, so you can show you on this video the difference. But if you're using a cape and there's no wire to it, it lays flat, it looks good, but that's all you get out of it. Just the front, it looks okay. If you scrunch it over the shoulders, it looks okay. But look what happens when you turn it around. That same cape does this. It looks bad. And yeah, if this is all you want, fine, go with it. But I can't do that. I need to have just a little bit more. Let me show you why I need to actually sew those pleats in the back or all the way around the cape. If you stretch it out like this, you can see where I ironed it in. That gives me a guideline for the sewing. I'll let you decide if it makes a difference or not. Take a look. So as you can see, adding the pleats really makes a difference. Now comes the wire. You need some needle nose pliers, some wire cutters, and your choice of wire depending on the material. This is 22 gauge wire. I'll leave you now with some video of the finished product. The head sits lower now, but I still may glue down that cowl to make it look that much better. In any case, once we hit 9,000 subscribers, this cape will be going out to its new owner. So if you want to own this cape, make sure you're one of those subscribers and leave a comment. Let me know why you need to have such a cape for your figure. In any case, we'll see you here next time.